Good evening, FBLA, and welcome to our second webinar. My name is Kyle Johnson, your state president, and today we are joined by your Region 4 president, Yusuf Fatah, and Joanna Latour, your Region 3 president. Today's webinar will cover current state social media initiatives, the 2 fall conferences, and any general questions you may have. If you have a question during the webinar, enter them at the right of the screen in the chat. We will answer questions in the order received at the end of the webinar. Now, I'd like to hand it off to Joanna to speak about Business Bites.
Thank you, Kyle. So the state officer team has been working on these weekly Business Bite videos to help members, advisors, and officers, and we encourage you to check these out if you want to learn some tips about FBLA in quick dosages. Around 4 or 5 have already been posted. I know Kyle did, what did you do your topic on, Kyle?
There's one about to be posted this week about super sweeps.
Okay, so super sweeps is about to be posted. I did a video on having some bonding activities with your chapter. So there are a bunch of topics, and I do encourage you to check these out. They should be posted more often than they have been already, so look out for them every week. And now I will hand it over to Yusuf.
Here, Joanna, I'm going to cut in real quick. So in addition to the Business Bite series of videos, keep an eye out for the Competition Spotlight series debuting this week. This video series will feature competitive events that not many students participate in at the state conference. Each video will describe the event in general, review the rubric for the competitive events, and answer a few sample questions. The first video will cover management information systems, and a new video will be posted every other week. All right, I'll hand it back to you, Joanna, if you want to give us some general information about the fall conference coming up.
Sure, okay, so our state fall conference this year starts on November 10th, and that is sort of in the afternoon, and that will it will end November 11th, and then later on November 11th will be the National Fall Leadership Conference. So it's pretty convenient for Florida members this year if you are hoping to attend both conferences. They're in the same hotel, and you'll get a lot more from the experience in just a few days. And that is at the Hilton Daytona Beach. And I'm going to lead into actually telling you about our guest speakers. So, surprise announcement. Our guest speakers for the State Fall Leadership Conference include Ms. Shannon O'Lean and Mr. Denard Mitchell. And Shannon O'Lean will be our Florida Fall Conference opening session speaker, and Denard Mitchell will be our closing session speaker. And both of these speakers are going to be there to motivate us, and they have plenty of experience as motivational speakers. I was actually talking to the officers before this started, and I've actually met Mr. Denard Mitchell before at a different camp, and he is amazing, so I'm looking forward to having him again. And now I will hand it back over, just over to Yusuf to tell you more about the conference.
Hey everyone, so what I really wanted to talk to you guys about today are some interesting events that we have going on at the conference. The first thing that we have going on are open events. So for those of you who don't know, open events are kind of a secondary form of competitive events that we typically do at the fall conference. And these range in smaller topics such as grammar and English, and even we throw in a business math, for example, like we did last year. And these events don't require a registration, and you just go in there, compete in them, and you compete like any other competitive event to win a prize and place. Another interesting event that we have going on is an annual event we host every year in Florida called Battle of the Districts. For those of you who don't know, each district in Florida submits, if they wish to participate, will submit a team of 5 students, and this team will compete in a Battle of the Districts. It's kind of like an FBLA Jeopardy type game where your entire team is on stage and you're trying to win, and then we award the top teams. So that's something we're really interested in, and if that's something you guys are interested in doing, make sure to contact your district director and see if there's space on your team. And now I'm going to hand it back to Kyle.
Thank you, Yusuf. So thank you so much for listening to us speak about some of the state social media initiatives and the fall conferences. So our next webinar is tentatively scheduled for November 7th to discuss the service projects this year. If you have any last minute questions, now would be a good time to type them into the chat at the right of the screen as we move into the question and answer portion of tonight's webinar. If there are any questions you have that you would like to ask us personally, feel free to reach out to us over social media. I believe we're all on Facebook, and you can reach me at my email, johnsonkyleanthony@outlook.com. And I think you can actually contact Yusuf at Twitter as well. All right, so if you have any questions, just post them into the comment chat. Into the chat on the right hand of the screen, and we'll stick around for a little bit to see if you have any questions.
I just realized I was on mute. Okay. One thing with me, if you do happen to find a Facebook account with my name on it, you can reach out to me through that, but I'm sort of a new user to Facebook, so the best communication method would be through Instagram direct messaging. Other than that, email as well, and that's just my full name, Joanne Latour, and then 1999@yahoo.com, or you can use the state officer email. Yep. Any questions? Kyle, are you getting the questions?
None have been posted yet. We'll stick around for around 4 or 5 more minutes to see if there are any more questions.
Okay.
And if not, we'll adjourn the webinar.
All right. Okay.
Also, guys, one thing I really wanted to say is that a lot of you sometimes, as I've been talking to members, might feel intimidating talking to us or asking any questions over social media or anything. And please, we just want to make sure that you all know that it is not awkward at all. We really love to hear from you guys, and we love to get to know you guys. So please definitely don't feel intimidated. Asking
Yeah.
questions. And even if you just want to get to know anybody on the team better, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, please do, because we joined FBLA because we like the experience and meeting everyone, and then just because we're state officers doesn't mean that we don't want to meet everyone. We want to help you out and continue making friends, so feel free to reach out to us. We love meeting new members.
So we just had one question come in from Christopher Bueller. What is a good idea to raise money for charity at a district level? I think Yusuf, you can take this one.
Actually, yeah. So one thing that we did to raise money at the district level in my district, District 8, is last year, and we did it again this year, we didn't actually do it to raise money for our personal district, but rather we raised money for a charity. And so one thing we did was we designed a district-wide t-shirt, and we partnered up with some districts that are nearby to us. And so we sold a district t-shirt throughout the entire district. A lot of chapters, such as my chapter, ended up just buying it as our chapter shirt. And once we talked to a local t-shirt company, they agreed to lower the price of the t-shirt production from $10 down to $5.65. So with that, we were able to sell the t-shirts for $10, which is very inexpensive for most chapters. And we were able to take the rest of the money and donate it all to charity. And we were proud to raise around $2,000 last year.
I like that idea. One thing that my chapter is sort of trying to do this year, and you could incorporate it to us donate money to a charity. We are hosting, I guess you could say, a district-wide dance, and we're making the ticket prices pretty inexpensive, and we might use just profits. So let's say you're raising money for a charity, you could use those profits and donate either all of it or a portion to a charity of your choice. So that's a fun idea if you want to have a lot of people involved in it. But I do like that t-shirt idea.
Yeah.
Actually, my district bought that one too.
Yeah, you can also set up a competition between chapters at your district conference, just like a regular donation drive, see which chapter can raise the most money, and then recognize them at the district conference.
I like that idea. I always like
Also,
music.
I know this is on a fundraiser that they do at my school typically for like football games, as they have the best seat in the house fundraiser where they get a furniture store or a furniture rental store to donate a nice sofa, and then they'll put it on the edge of the field, and every week you can buy raffle tickets in order to be entered to possibly win this. And now this is definitely an idea you'd have to clear with your district director, of course, but that could be something you can look into as possibly um, holding a drawing for a nicer or a reserved table at districts.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We had another question. What would you recommend members to study for the Battle of the Districts at the State Fall Leadership Conference and the National Fall Leadership Conference?
Ooh, some things that I do, I check out like Wikipedia and I just go through the national website until I just can't find anything I don't know anymore. But I'm not sure what else there is. Kyle or Yusuf, do you know?
Yeah, if you go to the national website, there's a history section on it where you can find the FBLA history, the code of ethics, and a lot of other stuff like the FBLA creed. And all of the questions, like all of the information on the questions, will come from that history section. There may be some state-specific questions that may not be covered in there, but you can also just search Quizlet and find some other resources that other members put together in preparing for their Battle of the Districts.
And I know that Cal, Joanna, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but the questions are typically very similar to like FBLA principles and procedures or the future business leader objective test. So those are also resources that you can use.
I'm not familiar with it, but I would assume that makes sense, you know?
Yeah. And you can also flip through the chapter management handbook.
That's it.
Yeah. All right, next question. From Jason Polito. Do you have any advice when it comes to helping members pick a competitive event? So if you go to the archives of the Tomorrow's Business Leader, you can find a flowchart that some of the national officers put together that I can actually post the link to the chat right now so you can see it. But that was really helpful in helping members to choose their competition because they just follow the flowchart and it leads them to the list of competitions they can choose from.
Yeah, I printed 1 million copies of that out and used it for my chapter this year. So I'd recommend it. It's like when you go through a magazine and then it's like, oh, find out your personality or something like that. So it's like, are you interested in presenting or taking a test? And then you'll go, yes. And then it'll lead you to a different section. And then eventually it'll lead you to a list that you can choose from for your event. Other than that, I would start off with like basic questions if you can't seem to find it. Hopefully you can. I would ask, members, what do you like to do? Do you like presenting? What are you good at? What's your hobby? Then sort of like take that and apply it towards an FBLA event that's similar. So for example, I used to like creating music videos or just like YouTube productions and whatnot. So I used that and I did a public service announcement and then eventually digital video production. So if you can find something that relates to their interests, that is what will get them engaged and excited for their events even more. So definitely that flowchart that would help.
Yeah, so I posted the link to the flowchart in the chat, and then I also posted a link to the competitive events reference guide. It organizes the competitive events into different categories like objective tests, which is just you go in and take a test, and whoever gets the highest score places. And then team performance events where you like present together with a few other students, so that could be helpful as well. All right, we have one more question. I just started FBLA, or Divine Concepts 87 says, I just started FBLA, so I don't know much about it. What contests do you do and work do you do together?
Okay. Well, if you're just starting FBLA, it can seem a bit overwhelming. Basically, there will be a district competition coming up soon. Hopefully it hasn't happened already. I'm not sure though. Usually mine happens in January, but there will be a district competition and you can choose, depending on your grade level, one out of around 60 different events. It can be individual, with a partner, in a group of 3 people. You can do a presentation, work with your chapter, or take a test. So it really depends on what you're interested in. If you look up on the FBLA.pbl website, you'll find a list of all of these events, and you can find the rubrics for them in a reference guide and everything. So that'll help you sort of figure out like how you can excel at these. And then if you place at your district competition, then you will advance to the state conference. And then if you place at the state conference, you will advance to the national conference. So the state conference is usually in the spring, and the national conference is over the summer. Other than that, they have open events, which I believe Yusuf talked about earlier, and that is usually at the national conferences, correct? Are they at state conferences too, Kyle?
Open events, you said?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to talk a little bit more about those?
At the state conference?
Just in general. I mean, I can cover it actually. I mean, you can add to it.
Sorry.
Basically, no, you're good. You can choose an individual event, and then if your chapter wants to do a chapter event, you can do an individual event and a chapter event. And if you don't want to be limited to just those events, because you can only do one unless it's with the chapter as well, then you can go to a conference and take an open event. And usually you choose one out of, let's say, 3 tests that may interest you, and you sort of get a feeling for what it's like to compete in a testing event, and you could possibly place still. So hopefully that covers all of the competition side of it. What else is there to know about FBLA? Well, our conferences. So we hope you come to those. There are workshops and guest speakers and fun activities, and you get to meet people. And we usually have fall conference, and then winter would be district, spring would be state, and then summer would be the national conference. Other than that, just really depends on what your chapter does throughout the school year, community service, etc. So hopefully that helps, and hopefully you do continue being a member after this year. All right.
So haven't been any new questions. We'll stick around for a few more minutes to see if are there any more.
All right.
Kayla did ask, can anyone ask questions? And the answer, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if you're a member or an advisor, or maybe you're like a prospective member and you want to know more about FBLA, then that works too. I know at my school, a lot of people still don't know about FBLA, and that's because our chapter just started last year. So I'm pretty used to just like telling everyone what FBLA is about. Hopefully I do it well, I'm not sure, but I love it, so I would hope everyone loves it too. Kyle, I'm loving your trophy shelf filled with FBLA trophies.
That was unintentional.
I know, it's fine. Proves how much you love FBLA. I have one too. Ready for that.
I think we just got another question once again from Divine Concepts 87. Okay. And they asked, what projects do you do? So there are 2 types of projects. One project can be production events, which is either a team or individual event that you can do for your competitive event. And that can be something like creating a group of digital design, or creating a flyer, or creating a slideshow for middle level, for example. And for high school, creating different websites or videos. And the other kind of projects that you can do are actually chapter projects. And that's a very good stepping stone into competitive events. You get to work on with other people from your chapter. And I know, for example, one of the main ones is the chapter annual report. And it's basically a portfolio put together by the team about everything your chapter's done over the year. Great opportunities to step in, and those, for example, are like the 2 different types of projects that are mainly used in FBLA.
And then I'm just going to add to that. There are sort of extra projects that aren't technically competitive events you can do, and those are the individual awards and the chapter awards. So if you actually look onto the FBLA-PBL official website, you can look at membership benefits and then the subcategory awards. And you'll find this page with the different awards. that you can strive towards after completing several tasks with your chapter individually or both. And you will get recognized at the different conferences. It depends which conference based on which award it is, but the tasks are pretty simple, and that could be considered a project, like a personal project or another chapter project you can take on. But I love the awards they have to offer, so I would recommend checking those out. They do help you get more involved with FBLA too. Okay.
Does anybody else have any more questions?
Any FBLA related questions? Any personal questions? I think we should end like right at 11:30. I think it's a good cutoff point, unless we have more questions.
I don't see any more questions, but we just wanted to reiterate that if we go ahead and end the webinar and you guys still have more questions, definitely feel free to reach out to our social medias, even our emails. If you guys want, we can type our emails in the chat, or even if you just search our names on any kind of social media, you should be able to find us. And for those of you who don't know, our names can be found on the Florida FBLA website, and the correct names are the ones in bold.
Yes.
But we did get one more question.
Okay.
And it is from Jason. Jason P. How would you recommend recruiting members for your chapter? So, I would say that for me, one of the best things you can do for recruiting members to your chapter is not sit there and talk about, oh, these are competitive events, this is this, because it can be really overwhelming. So mainly opportunities that FBLA can provide to them, and go from there. And Joanna, Kyle, do you guys have anything to add?
Yes. It's basically, I've learned a lot about how to, I guess, recruit members because I had to start my own chapter and build it up. And one of the things I can say is definitely show your enthusiasm and say why you love FBLA personally if that person has time to listen. But I do agree with what Yusuf said. Don't give them all the information at once because it can be overwhelming. It can confuse people. Just say, hey, this club has a lot of benefits. This organization will help you prepare for your future. If you're interested in learning more about it, then come to our informational meeting on this day. And as far as like specific things that my school does, we have posters go around the school. We get the club meetings and the announcements. And one of our officers has this idea that I guess some schools could do as well. Basically, we want like an FBLA sort of game show once a week, or at least on our meeting days, that will go on the announcements and say like a new activity FBLA members are doing that helps them like get involved, and then it gets the whole school excited for FBLA, saying, oh, I want to be on that game show, or I want to do those FBLA related things, so I want to join. So just appeal to them and what they might be interested in, like having fun and then having something to add to the resume and showing off their competitive skills, but don't overwhelm them like Yusuf said.
Yeah, and Jason, if you're not starting a new chapter, like you're recruiting members for a chapter that existed the year prior, like the year before, you can get involved in the Bring a Buddy state program, where you encourage the returning members from your chapter to recruit one person to your chapter. And if they recruit one new person, at least one new person, they'll be recognized at the state conference.
That is true. There are several different awards available out there. I know there's the National Membership Madness Award. And if you tell people, guys, if you bring just 5 members that register, you will automatically earn a national award for that. Like, how awesome is that? Even if you're a first-time member, like, just be like, hey, even if you're new, bring 5 members with you and you'll still be recognized. It's pretty awesome. But like Kyle was saying, if you're not starting a new chapter, there's another thing you can do. Take all these like pictures and times you had with your chapter in previous years and sort of like share it with people. So like my school had a video and pictures, and once they see how much fun you're having, they're going to want to share that experience with you too.
Yeah. And to add on to what Joanna said earlier, if you recruit 10 members, you'll be recognized for both membership madness and membership mania.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. It looks like we have another question, a more personal question. How many years have each of us held officer positions in our chapter? And did you remain involved as a member and run for state office? Yusuf, if you want to start that question.
Okay, so I held an officer position in my chapter since, me and Kyle were actually co-presidents of our middle school chapter in 8th grade. And then I began my high school FBLA chapter officer. Last year I was vice president. This year I'm president. Since Florida runs by the district system, I have been a district officer since the 9th grade. I was a freshman district officer. And so that's how we got involved into running for state office. One thing I really did want to say for the second part of your question, one of the requirements in order to be able to run for state office is that you must first be a chapter officer. So if getting involved in state office is something that you're interested in, make sure that you become a chapter officer first.
So Joanna, do you want to pick up with the same question?
Sure. Okay, so I started FBLA in 9th grade, and then I got my first chapter position in 10th grade as the chapter vice president. And then I switched schools and started my own chapter, so I became chapter president, and then I was also district vice president, and then I got elected to district president, but I couldn't take on that position because I became the state vice president in 11th grade. So now I am currently chapter president and state region 3 vice president. So to answer your question, I've been an officer for 3 years, but a member for 4 years. And as far as requirements go, I think they do that because they want to make sure you have that experience with leading an FBLA group before you take on such a big step, like a big challenge. And it's a lot of fun, so I hope you do consider running for state office if that's something that you're considering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like Yusuf was saying, we were both middle-level chapter presidents in our 8th grade year. Then my 9th grade year, I served as district secretary. Then I was elected to district president, but I had to step down because I was also elected to state reporter that year. And then I was elected to state president. And at my chapter, I served as a state liaison my freshman year, then vice president my sophomore year. In junior year, I was our chapter president. But yeah, so there are requirements in, I guess, leadership to run for state office. But a lot of the state officers on our team that you don't see here didn't have as much like chapter experience, but they are still able to serve as a state officer and do really well.
Yeah.
So we have another question. I think this is a good question for Joanna. What exactly is FBLA and what do you do in FBLA?
Okay, well, in FBLA, I feel like this is flashing back to last year. Basically, it's a competitive organization, but you can gain valuable skills. You do community service, you attend workshops and leadership conferences, you meet other members, you make business connections, you get inspired from guest speakers, and you build your resume, you build your skills, you learn how to just tackle these life activities that you will have to overcome eventually just by attending the conferences and getting to know more about the business world. So let's say you're interested in pursuing, or even if you're not interested in pursuing a business career field, this will get you where you need to be. You're sort of like taking the initiative and getting involved in the field, and you're learning like what would it mean to be in the business field and really just compete. You make the most out of it. How do I say this? You get out of it whatever you put into it. So there's no really straightforward answer for everyone. FBLA for me is like something that my whole life revolves around because I love it so much and I get involved with like the state and everything. but it could be for some people just a competitive organization for them to just, you know, show off their competitive skills or something. So it really depends on how you use your time as a member. But overall, I would say it's a competitive club that helps you just build your skills.
Yeah, so basically FBLA is the largest and oldest co-curricular student organization for business. It helps students develop the skills they need for a successful business career. So yeah, there are over 50 competitive events that you can choose from. So basically whatever you're interested in, there's a competitive event for you to compete in. And even if you're not super interested in a career in business per se, FBLA is still a great way to develop the skills that you'll need in a lot of other professions to develop these transferable skills like public speaking and leadership.
Yeah.
So we have one question about membership madness and membership mania. So is membership madness and membership mania 10 more members or 10 new members? For example, last year I had 20 members, but I need 30 this year, or can I have 15 members as long as 10 are new? So my understanding is that if you recruit 10 new members or 5 new members, you'll qualify for these programs. Is that?
Yeah. So it doesn't matter like who stayed from last year, just as long as the people that you bring are new.
Yeah. So we'll wait just 2 more minutes and then we'll cut off the webinar.
All right.
We have 2 more questions. So what's your favorite FBLA experience?
Oh God.
So I guess I'll start out. In 7th grade, I remember I was competing in public speaking, and it's kind of so I started out in FBLA as like a shy 7th grader, but I decided to compete in public speaking because I thought it was the hardest event, and I remember being completely shocked when I placed at the district level. So that was definitely a great experience. What about you, Yusuf?
I would have to say that my favorite FBLA experience, I think it would have to, it would come down to 2. I can't decide. The first one was in 7th grade as well, when I attended my first state leadership conference, and I went in completely blinded, not knowing what's going to happen, and then I walked into opening ceremonies. And for those of you who are fortunate enough to attend, it's a very grand event. There's a huge stage, a lot of music, a very nice design. And so that was definitely one of the biggest things I realized. And I would have to say that the other one would be when I was elected to state office and my name was called, because that was the moment when I truly realized that all these years in FBLA, and now I get to impact so many people and represent all FBLA members across the state. And that's something, once again, we really want to reiterate is we are here for you guys, so please feel free to reach out.
Okay, I swear, Yusuf, you and I are the exact same person, because I was going to repeat that like almost verbatim, except rather than 8th grade, it was 9th grade for me. And I remember thinking like, I'm going to walk into this conference in the opening session. There's going to be like a big room. There are not going to be any lights, any music. Just I imagined like banquet tables where there were like teacups and everything, and they were just sort of staring at each other and talking about business related activities. And I was so incorrect that it was. And I remember just sitting there in opening session, like getting this overwhelming feeling like this is amazing. I just felt like I belonged in an organization and this is what I wanted to do. And it was great. It was just a powerful feeling. And then, of course, when your name gets called, after you put in like so much energy and work into running for an office for something that you believe in, hoping to impact everyone, it's just same Yusuf. Just that feeling was great. So I remember like the song and everything. I remember you and I remember the song, right?
Yeah.
It was good. Good moments. So I hope everyone has those powerful moments too.
So the next question is, what are some of the event topics you can do during the competitions? So these topics change every year. Like the general events stay the same, like accounting one and stuff like that. But for the presentation events, the topics and prompts for each presentation event change every year. You can find the latest ones on the Florida FBLA website. I'll post the link to the chat right now. So
next question. Okay, the next question is, what type of scholarships can you earn from FBLA? I know that I'm familiar with in particular there's quite a few. The first one is the Calix and Bo Schenecker Scholarship, is by the Calix and Bo Schenecker Memorial Foundation. And this scholarship is $2,500, and it's awarded at the State Leadership Conference every year to one male senior and one female senior in Florida FBLA. And that's definitely a scholarship I encourage all seniors in FBLA to apply for. There are some prerequisites that you need to have, but definitely, of course, go take a look at it. It will be released with the State Leadership Conference packet, and all advisors should get a copy of that.
Yeah, and just being a member in FBLA can get you a scholarship to a lot of different schools like Arizona State University, Barton College, Berkeley College. I posted the link to the list of scholarships and the schools that FBLA has partnered with into the chat where you can get a better look at those.
Yeah, my phone just died, but I was trying to show that on the actual FBLA website, if you type into Google FBLA scholarships for members, then you'll find that link. The first one will have, like I was saying, all the universities and then what scholarships you can earn with them. But I remember last year, I was just kind of looking around on different websites and stuff, and there's a website that helps you figure out, like, based off of the school that you're going to, or maybe just in general, what being an FBLA member can earn you. And it's called raise.me. You guys get that down? It's like RAISE.me. And basically, you just enter your profile, and this is good just in general, and you see, like, what your activities that you've done throughout high school can earn you money-wise, depending on, like, where you want to go, just in general, like, any university that'll offer you something just for the activities you've done. You'd be surprised because it's actually pretty cool. So, yeah, scholarships are definitely available.
And in addition to scholarships, on like a similar note, there's a lot of companies that have partnered with FBLA to actually give you a discount. So like Alamo, if you want to rent a car, you get 20% off. When you shop at Amazon, FBLA PBL gets a small donation through Amazon Smile. And at AMCM, the insurance company, you actually get a 28% discount on emergency roadside services.
There's also a little more exciting discounts. I mean, those are great too, but let's say you are looking for a suit or something. Men's Warehouse offers FBLA membership discounts. I think 30 to 40% off, depending on what item you're looking for. Also, Princeton Review, if you're taking any AP exams or just want to review for a class, you get 15% off of those. And there is one more. Oh yeah, Uber. Since Uber is a big thing now, definitely utilize that, especially just for conferences. If you can't find it on the actual website, the discounts, every conference packet will say, you know, call ahead, and it works for shuttles too and plane flights, and you'll get this discount for FBLA just because you're attending the conference. So
yes, if you're new to Uber, if you type in the code FBLA PBL, which is available, and this is also on the national website too, you get $20 off of your first Uber ride. And if that Uber ride is under $20, of course, it's free. And another thing, as Kyle was mentioning, if you guys use Geico car insurance, a lot of high school students are beginning to drive. So Geico car insurance, if you're an FBLA member, they give you a discount.
Yeah, and even more exciting, you can actually get discounts at Krispy Kreme, I remember. Especially with fundraising for your chapter.
Oh, true. You can use them for fundraisers. I didn't know about that extra discount. I might start using that one.
So the next question is, do you do any state contests? So, Joanna, what did you compete in last year?
I competed in digital video production.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Yusuf?
Last year I competed in economics. That didn't work out really well for me.
Mine either.
It was the first year I hadn't placed at states, let alone districts.
Oh,
Of course, I didn't get first in districts. Yeah, I didn't get first in districts either. So, how about you, Kyle?
last year I competed in e-business. We made it to states, but we didn't get it to the finals. It's
That
okay.
happened with me, kind of. In ninth grade, I did a job interview, and I made it to like the finalist round, but I didn't. I was like, I don't know. I made it to top 9, but I didn't make it to top 5. So I never know what my actual rank was. But anyway, why do you ask, Kyle?
Okay, so the next question is there a way to know if a company gives you a discount for being part of FBLA? That link is right in the chat already. If you go to www.fbla-pbl.org/FBLA/membership-benefits/discount, and there's a little more to the URL, but it's posted in the chat, so you can just click it there and add it to your favorites.
Yeah. This actually, you might want to use that too if you're trying to recruit members. Just be like, hey, look what I get to earn because I'm in FBLA, and show that off too. Get people to join.
Go ahead, Kyle.
In the Uber code, Yusuf just posted. I see that's the next question. So then the next question is there anything I can compete in that is math/computer related? So there's a lot. This year they renamed an event to make a new event, coding and programming, where you design a program for a company. If you go up to the competitive event topics, you can read more about that event and what you'd have to do for there. There's also mobile application development. There's
Sorry, go ahead. Go on.
There's, I think, computer applications is another testing event that you can do. And there's also, I think they just renamed this event actually. I was about to say business math and financial math, but I think they just renamed it, so I can double check for you.
Yeah.
But there's that event as well.
Yeah, if you're interested in like programming and everything, that's really fun. You can also create a game, like a computer game. Is that still an option?
Computer game and simulation programming.
That one is so cool. Please do it. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, then that is just so fun. Like, and not many people do it, so we want to try and get that one a little more appreciated and competed in this year. I know I love watching them, and if I had the time to program all that stuff, I would totally do it. It seems so fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so follow-up question to that. Do they teach you or do you have to already know these things to compete? So there's a few resources on the national and state websites for testing events that are have the list of competencies, I think they call it, or basically the topics that can be on the event. That's right with the event page. And you can also see the rubric for submission events like computer game and simulation programming. But in terms of the actual programming, that's something you do have to teach yourself.
Yeah. Or if you have a teacher at your school who's willing to be your mentor, they can help you out with that too.
Yeah, like if you're taking AP Computer Science, coding and programming would probably be a good fit for you.
Yeah, that's what one group at my school did last year, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say something. Can you repeat that question? I can't.
Do they teach you or do you have to already know these things to compete?
Okay, sometimes they do teach you. You know, I want to ask because I know my chapter is going to have like a workshop day where we just purely show people how they can do their events and stuff. Like people who have competed already will help them sort of catch up and know what they know so that they're more prepared for the next year. But you do kind of have to teach yourself unless your chapter covers that. You might want to ask your advisor though and find out.
Well, one last call if there are any more questions. All right, well, again, thank you so much for signing on to the October webinar tonight. Again, our next webinar is tentatively scheduled for November 7th at 7 p.m. to discuss the service projects this year, both the national and the state service projects. Yusuf or Joanna, do you have anything else to add?
I do have one thing to add. I totally forgot. So basically, if you guys want us to actually come to your chapter or your district conferences, we can. Like, we want to. That's why we signed up for this. So, like you said earlier, don't be intimidated. Please reach out to us because I'm just looking forward to meeting you guys and helping out in any way that I can. So find us through social media, and it can be very casual. Just say, hey, we're having our district competition this day, or we're having our chapter installation ceremony on this day. It would be ideal if you reach out to the the state officer closest to you, but I know I'm willing to travel as long as the day is convenient for me. So please reach out to us because we love to meet you guys and help out.
Yes, definitely. So you can always reach out to us again over social media. We also posted our emails in the chat. Yusuf and I did. Joanna, if you want to say your email real quick.
Okay, can you guys type it for me too? Because I don't know how to, I'm not that techy. But it's basically my full name, Joanna Latour, 1999 at yahoo.com. Thanks, Kyle.
All right. Again, thank you so much for coming out tonight. If you have any more questions, again, always reach out to us over social media or through our email. All right. If there's Yusuf, Joanna, anything else?
No, we're good.
That's it. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes, thank you. And we hope to see you at the State Activity Day this Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll
Thank
be
you.
so much fun. Bye, guys.
Bye.